My first question goes to Gadkari sir. Sir, yesterday was a very interesting day for you as well. The cabinet came out with a major ports act, and there has been we have been hearing a lot about happening in the roads as well. Uh, what do we when we look at your departments, and these are very critical departments as well. You have talked about 41 kilometers of roads, which absolutely grabbed the headlines, and which all of us also got pretty enthused towards it. How has the journey been for you there, sir?
Actually, it is a difficult task. This is the target for my department. But today, 27 to 28 kilometer, it is the highest road construction in the country. At the time of the Atal Bihari Vajpayee's regime, it was some 18 kilometer per day.
Right.
So now it is 10 kilometers more than that. And it is a target. I don't know whether we will succeed or not. But we are trying our level best to go for 41 kilometer per day.
Right.
We are trying for that.
So you're also looking at a very, very ambitious program which is happening on the ports as well. Sagarmala is something that you have been very passionate about. You have also been talking, for example, when you look at the major ports in the country today, 12 of them, our coastline is huge. We have 7,500 kilometers of coastline. The contribution to GDP is only 1%. What is happening on Sagarmala, sir?
Actually, we have 7,500 kilometer of seafront. We have 12 major ports and 200 minor and private ports.
Right.
So the good thing is that last year our profit is 6,000 crores. Mechanization, modernization of the ports, computerization of ports, and to make our port with international standards, that is the mission. We appointed a international consultant, and with the recommendation of the consultant, we are moving fast. And our ports are now still they are not up to the international standards.
Right.
But within a year, we will be of mark of international standards. We are planning for 6 major ports. Presently, we have 12 major ports. We are making dry ports also. And there is Port Rail Connectivity Corporation, which is responsible for taking care of railway network in the ports.
Right.
And at the same time, now we are planning for river ports. And totally 111 river when we are going to convert into waterways.
Right.
We will have 2,000 water ports. Out of which in Ganga, we have already started work on 3 multimodal hub. One is Varanasi at Uttar Pradesh. Land is acquired, work is already started. Second is Sahibganj in Jharkhand. Already there is also the work is started. And third is at Haldia in Bengal.
Right.
And we are making 40 small water ports. The distance between Varanasi to Haldia is 1,680 kilometers. We are making one water gate in Farakka. And presently we are already export flash for Farakka to Bangladesh.
Right.
We have also signed the agreement with Bangladesh for Brahmaputra. And in Brahmaputra also we have already construct a jetty, Pandu jetty in Guwahati.
Right.
And there is 5 Ro-Ro services. Even in Ganga, there are 5 Ro-Ro services. Even a lot of things are moving on water ports and port side.
Right. So, in fact, I wanted to ask you this. We couldn't have got a better panel for a launch. Sir, you briefly mentioned about the cooperation that you are also getting in railways. We are talking about that we do not operate, and I've been told that in our reportage we see that there are no silos in the government now. So there's a lot of cooperation which is happening between the ministries. So would you like to speak about that?
So that presently we don't know that problem. My strength is in my port. Just we have taken loan from the one Indian bank and one Singapore bank in dollar 3,000 rupees with 2% interest, 2.25 interest. And that is the reason that strength is with me in the ports. So I can raise 50,000 crores with 2% interest. I'm going for that.
Right.
And where it can be useful for the railway. And that is my strength I'm going to use for construction of railway in port connectivity railway.
Right.
So we have already we have coordination, cooperation and communication between the agencies. And we have taken the people from the railway.
Right.
So our MD Anup Agrawal is from railway and our office is in Mumbai. So there is no problem.
Right.
We have already got, we are now some of the projects where investment point of view, it is easy for us to raise the money for that. We are doing it. So
Right.
it can be contribution from our side for the railway mission, what
Right.
they are doing.
Absolutely. That very conveniently brings me to Mr. Prabhu. Sir, you have were the earliest proponents for digital technology. Twitter, your Twitter account. I think you have been solving more problems through your Twitter account than a lot of other things that the railways for a very long time was trying to do. How has it been for you? Because 7 billion passengers. It's not a, and the last of what I had was following your Twitter handle, you were talking about there were passengers who do not getting milk for babies being provided that kind of a facility there. How did this all come together? Obviously, you have had a huge experience in electricity as well. Power was your forte, and you also, I will come to that later, but about the digital and improving customer services.
You know, it is imperative for any service provider to first of all provide service as good as it is possible, but more importantly, get a customer feedback constantly. And the customer feedback is something which helps you to improve the service, to take corrective measures, also can be used as a management information system to find out what is the cause by which you can actually make better changes where they are necessary. Typically, railway being owned by the government and being a monopoly, the customer was never, customer-centric thinking was not always there. Because we always felt that it is something which we are providing a service that's good enough. Same thing used to happen earlier when there was the power was a monopoly subject. People used to think we give you connection is more important than asking for a quality of power. So we said let's make a change, let people give a feedback. And what is more important is taking action while the passenger is still on train. He's not yet completed his travel.
Right.
That's the time when he needs help. So we are now able to provide help to more or less all emergencies, where a woman is facing some challenges from some antisocial elements, where there is a possibility of somebody demanding money from you for giving a birth, the food quality is not good, toilets are not clean. All of that are attended to on a real-time basis.
Right.
For example, we have a system in place now wherein any message that comes to us through any form now. In fact, that is what I announced in my last budget speech. Incidentally, what I announced in my budget speech is everything is getting implemented.
We
Last budget,
are keeping a track of it.
136 of my previous budget announcements are completely fulfilled. This year also almost everything is complete. Next year, I will not be presenting the budget, but still will be completing whatever will be said. Not in my budget speech, but whoever will be presenting the budget, like finance minister will, whatever he say, will complete it. So, idea is that whatever now a form of complaint may be, whatever may be the platform through which the complaint comes, it may be email, it may be SMS, it could be just Twitter, it may be Facebook, whatever, even a letter, or a telephone call, we'll combine all that, get into actionable point, and now also we do that, a docket gets created. Instantly, that complaint is forwarded to the place, the nearest place where the passenger is currently there, and also a corrective action is taken. Till that action is reported back, the docket is not closed. So therefore, it is still open and then works like this. Now we have several advantages of this, because by doing this, everybody is on their toes now. The people feel that complaint can be made, and nowadays we are encouraging people even to send WhatsApp photo messages.
Right.
So we can instantly take action on that. So that has helped to improve service. So this is something which, in my opinion, the best management tool to look at where the problem is and how the corrective action can be taken. I am told by several multinational organizations that nowhere in the world this magnitude, this size, this complexity is attended to in a real-time basis like the way we are able to do it.
Obviously, so because India, we are also a very unique country. The kind of problems we have is something which is absolutely unique to us. That, Chaudhary Sahab, I would like to draw into the conversation. And steel is the building block of infrastructure and economy. And in fact, this has been a very interesting few months now, in fact. We have seen a lot of stuff happening on the. Obviously, GST was something that all of us were really looking forward to. But given the logjam, obviously, it's not going to happen in this session. Maybe there's a next session or the special session being called. Uh, so, what is, given the fact that there is a lot of problems when you came to steel, the industry was not doing very well. In fact, there was a lot of imports from China, so much so that there have been concerns being raised about from South Korea and Japan as well. How, in such a scenario where economy has to grow, steel will be the building block for it. What is your vision for the sector, sir?
The last couple of years, steel industry is under stress, and as you have rightly pointed out, China produced 30% more than their requirement. So what they decided that they dump in our country most of the additional production, and by that prices of steel came down, and ultimately we had to resort to some of the measures where we can protect our industry. The first thing which we did in February this year was to put MIP
Right.
on 166 items.
Right.
And now, last to last month, anti-dumping measures was also applied, and some of the items were taken under anti-dumping. And within 1 year, not even within 1 year, within 10 months, the import has come down to 40%.
Right.
And our export has gone up to 51%.
Right.
So, but these measures are not the only thing which can, give some impetus to the industry.
Right.
Actually, industry is also, if they want to be competitive in the world market, then they will have to have some more steps where they can improve their efficiency. That is one. The second thing which is very important for Indian steel industry is R&D.
Right.
On R&D, the focus has not been of that magnitude.
I think railways will be a huge consumer for steel, right? And given the fact that now you want to go for new designs, what are the plans, given the fact that what are the new designs which will be using, I believe, a lot of steel that his sector produces, which at some level, Chaudhary Sahab, I believe would also help the domestic market as well, right?
See, we are working very close to each other. He is also my senior leader. Also had adopted me to into state as a member of parliament, his home state of Haryana.
Yeah.
So what we are doing is we are working very closely.
Right.
There is a element of vested interest for us for the steel to develop,
Right.
because railway being the carrier of cargo, if the steel industry grows, it helps the railways,
Absolutely.
because to that extent we can get additional revenue. And therefore, steel and railways are both vendor as well as customer of each other.
Right.
So we buy steel from we buy the steel. At the same time, we consume the steel. We use it for manufacturing of various kinds, not of rolling stock, but also for the tracks. And therefore, also now we are working to find out whether we can use bridges using more and more steel. And at the same time, as I said, we use it. So we are working very closely with each other,
Right.
finding out the best way of increasing the consumption of steel in the railways. At the same time, helping the economy to grow faster, because the more the steel is consumed. And as you know, the per capita consumption of steel in India is one of the lowest.
Right.
And therefore, we really need to increase the steel consumption, then only the production will rise. And therefore, railway being one of the major consumer of steel, we are trying to work on that. As I said, whatever we have said in the budget speech is getting implemented at various stages. So one of the points that I made in the last budget speech was that we'll create an integrated plan for the railways which will work on the ground. For example, when Chaudhary Saab comes to me and says, I want this particular line, I am inclined to do it because of various reasons. Maybe because he's putting political pressure, he's my friend, he could be an ally or whatever. There is nothing wrong in he demanding a railway line. But if we go only by that and don't have an overall plan of the railway network that should work in the country, how is it going to benefit the railway as a whole or the country as a whole? If I have a plan like this and then he comes to me and tells me that put up this particular line, then I can prioritize it based on some consideration. But in absence of an integrated plan, it doesn't really help the cause, doesn't help the network. So we said we'll prepare a plan which will be absolutely valid till 2050, but it will call 2030 vision. We already, in the last 4 days back, the VCCircle had covered it also extensively. We have launched a website. I written letters to all the stakeholders possible, state government, chief ministers, my colleague ministers, members of parliament, legislative assemblies, stakeholders, industry association. Anybody can come and say that this is what the plan should be. Not that all the demand that will be coming can be incorporated, but we'll actually come to know why there is a demand for a particular line at particular place. In that, we are taking so many points on board. For example, we have 7,600 kilometers of coastline. So we must have a port connectivity. Today there is a port connectivity policy provided somebody comes forward, we can do it. But we must have a national plan, integrated plan, which we are working very closely with the Ministry of Port also. How can we make sure that evacuation of cargo once it is imported or export of cargo when it has to happen, there has to be connectivity hinterland. And therefore the port, that is one part. Secondly, for the first time we are taking this on board. Could we think of connecting district capitals to the railways? Because ultimately that is also very important. Thirdly, as I said, why industry association? Because the railways, even 2/3 of the revenue today comes from the cargo. So where will the cargo will be coming on? What is the catchment area for cargo? That will come where the industrialization happens. Because we'll have to move the raw material to that place or finished goods from the place of manufacturing to the port or some other marketplace. So therefore that is another element. Then tourism, which is another passenger-oriented flow of traffic that can come to the railway. So religious places, tourist spot, all of that. So we are actually preparing an interactive plan and we launched a website. So anybody can log in, anybody can give ideas, and we'll be actually trying to unveil the plan in the next few months based on all the input that we'll be collecting. If you want to do anything commercial, there is no point meeting the minister. I don't deal with any commercial transaction. All the tendering decisions are not taken at my level. It is 100% delegated. Technology people are dealing with technology aspect, the people. And therefore, if you really try to professionalize the organization, then I must make sure that a professional attitude is also developed within the organization. I give this example to all my colleagues in the railway board also, that railways have different compartments when the railway runs actually on the track. But each compartment thinks this has nothing to do with the rest of the compartment. The train will never reach the destination. Okay. And the same thing should be happening in the railway board itself, that each one of them must realize that they are part of a long piece and each one of them don't contribute significantly to the overall objective of the railways. How is it going to work?
So how have you dealt with and how has demonetization impacted railways? I remember, in fact, your revenues gone up, for passenger revenues went up like anything. So that's my first part of the question. But the second part of my question is that, sir, what do we expect in the budget, which is round the corner?
When I came in here, I was thinking that you are going to give me the tips, what is going to be in the budget, because you know more about it than I do. So I keep looking at my mobile, look at VCCircle tweets to know how the budget is going to be.
So I will take that as a compliment. InfraCircle has been on the ball with railways coverage. Thank you for that.
But I'll tell you about the railways. See, each budget, now I'm not going to present the budget, but we'll still make the budget.
Absolutely.
Budget has to be a part of a continuous exercise. We unveiled a plan of 8,50,000 crores of capex, and now you heard Mr. Gadkari saying that we are seeking investment of almost 1 lakh crores from there. We are already working on high-speed railways. We are already working on joint venture with the states. That's another thing I'll just explain. We are working on, like my good friend is talking about, we already got 2 major diesel and electric locomotives manufacturing taking place. That's 40,000 crores of orders being issued. So all of that put together, I think we should be on track. So there should be a continuity. At the same time, each budget gives an opportunity to revisit the issues that you're already dealing with. So we must introspect. For example, there has to be an ongoing exercise of evaluation to find out what can be done, same thing, can it be done better? So therefore, I think that is something which we are constantly doing, and I think we'll be working on it. We have decided to launch 4 new railway products. One is the Humsafar, other is Antyodaya, third is Tejas, and the fourth one is Uday. Those, we are thinking of doing something even better than that. We are trying to retrofit all the coaches to make sure that coaches inside also will change. Station redevelopment was one of the major programs for the railways, which is now trying to take off. As you know, this all impact of external environment also affect the railways, because if the real estate market is not doing all that well, people will not like to come forward and develop. But we are trying to work on many innovative ideas to work on that. One of the top consultant is also working with us. So we are doing that. I just mentioned about a joint venture with the states. I would like to share it with you. That is a major interesting initiative. That traditionally, the railways is the only highly centralized organization, not only in India, but probably anywhere in the world. So everything is centralized. So therefore, first thing we started was delegating powers to general managers, to DRMs, and that's why nothing comes to me. But a second element of that should be, it is not delegation of only administrative and commercial decision-making power. Could we also create a structure wherein the state governments should be partners and share ownership with the railways? This is something which has never happened before. We have some cost-sharing arrangement. You give 50%, we give 50%. But we never created a structure in which the new company, which will have a ownership through equity, which will be jointly shared, and therefore the management also will be jointly implemented. Right. So we are trying to work on that. I'm very happy to say 16 states had given in principle approval. Now we are working on 10 states at least, where the financial closure should happen soon. Banks are working with us to prepare a business plan. So joint venture with the state will not just be a joint venture signed for a photo opportunity. It will be actually business plan is getting ready, including one of your sponsors for today, Yes Bank, is also preparing one business plan for one state. There are private banks, State Bank of India, IDFC and others also working with us, many other banks, including ICICI and many others. So they are preparing business plan. The advantage, what is the advantage of this? We have increased the speed of implementation of new lines commissioning exponentially. But still, there will be a limit. If we do it with the states, and each state start putting up, say, about 7 to 10 kilometers a day, and 10 states do that, you can imagine how much of more new capacity addition will happen with the states. Then operational issues, because normally a project gets held up because land acquisition, because local government not permitting you to do this, there are law and order situations, all of that get addressed, because it is not you and me, you against me, not a state against center, but it is you and me together we are trying to do it. So therefore this is what we are trying to do. So this is also another development. I think we'll take it to the next level. So to answer your point, the budget, I don't know what it will be, because it will be presented by my good colleague and friend, Mr. Arun Jaitley. But the budget would definitely be a continuation of the new old ideas, but also working on innovative ways of doing it. We already created, first time in India, a massive outside the budget financing for the railway infrastructure. Therefore, we got 1,50,000 crores of credit line from the LIC. We are already now in the next few months, because banks are busy with this process of re and demonetization. So we'll have a round table with all the banks. We are having a round table with all sovereign wealth funds and pension funds to look at the new opportunities that the railway is posing for financing. And there are huge interest. In fact, this is a season when the foreign investors come to India and look at the road shows. I am very happy to say that every foreign investor or even domestic investor wants to look at railways very closely, because he thinks that is something is an exciting happening and they want to work on that. So we are trying to take advantage of all this, and I am now very happy that VCCircle is created. We don't have to move in the circles, because that's what need not be done. Now we can break the circle, break the cycle, and go into the development mode. And I am very happy, I am not saying it to embarrass you, but someone as professional as you are going to be editing it. So therefore I really look forward to working with you. And I really wish that you all the best to this new endeavor. And looking forward to working with close and good friends like Chaudhary Saab and Mr. Gadkari, and
Right.
then we'll make it happen.
Right. A report called India at 70. Report which basically tells the India story over the last 70 years about infrastructure. So the report is ready. We wanted you to release the report. This has been put together by the team. I'm very thankful for the kind of reportage which has gone into it. Thank you. There's a logjam which is already there in the parliament, and you're a career politician. You know how very difficult pieces of legislations see the light of the day, primarily given the fact that there is some kind of a understanding that is always brought between the party which is in government and the opposition as well. So given the landscape today, do you see a key legislation such as GST coming anytime soon? Because 1st April is the deadline. It will have a huge bearing on the Indian infrastructure sector as well.
GST, about 7 years back, I was finance minister of Haryana.
Right.
And from that, maybe 8 to 10 years, there is exercise going on about the GST, and ultimately there is a general consensus now that states should go for that, and we are at a very advanced stage. But when you say that the deadline is 1st April, I think if you see the history of parliament,
Right.
there are certain things which cutting across party lines, cutting across ideological differences, certain things are to take place. Suppose you are to pass the budget. It is everybody's concern
Right.
that budget must be passed. And the same situation is with GST. Though on the face of it, it looks that things are not that easy, but I am sure ultimately all the parties are of this view that GST is going to help the country's economy to a great extent. And there is a realization in the states also, when there is a moratorium of 5 years about giving all kind of help to the states,
Right.
which are at the receiving end. So I think there is no, and the session is also
Tomorrow is the
no, tomorrow, of course, but the budget session may be in the first week of February.
Right.
So there is a scope that by that time, when you talk of 1st of April, everything would be cleared.
Right.
And the points for discussion, which has already been debated upon by different political parties,
Right.
whether it should be 16% or 18%, that has also been resolved.
So steel per se, as I said earlier, it's a strategic sector as well. So India has been also doing a lot of work for countries around and countries elsewhere. There's a lot of bilaterals which are also happening at one point of time. So much so that there was a time, if I'm not wrong, we were looking at helping Iran as well to setting up a smelter and stuff. Sir, what is your department, your ministry, which is, and you are spearheading this. Of course, there's a MEA involvement as well. How important is steel? Because railways did a little bit of a work in Africa and elsewhere. I believe the similar kind of a work is now being looked by steel as well. So where does the flag fly high elsewhere? And which are the countries, which are the geographies that you're looking at?
Steel industry as such, it used to be the domain of Western world at one point of time.
Right.
And of course, America also produced. America is still the second largest producer, but in the month of
We became the third.
August, we became the third
Right.
largest. Of course, China is number one, and Japan, and then India.
Right.
What I see in near future, production in Western world and also in states, it either it would be going down drastically, or I can also see that some of the units may be closed down.
Wow.
But if we talk of India, our demand is about 5.8% increase every year.
Right.
That is how, and next year or next to next year, it may even touch the double figure. So this is one area where demand is, because if we talk of infrastructure, that is to be developed here also in our country. And most of the Southeast Asia country,
Right.
the demand would also increase there also. And ultimately, Africa continent, that is a destination where maybe after a decade or so,
Right.
the demand would be of a great extent. And this way, I assure sometime when industries people, they come and they discuss the prospects, I see that for the next 50 years, there would be increase in the demand. But in our own country,
Right.
the problem is in rural areas, the demand is negligible. It is only 10 kg per capita. And country also is about 62 kg per capita as compared to world 204 kg per capita.
Right.
Here we have tried that how to increase the demand. So we are, some of the things which are not taking shape because of the lack of technology. We have made certain inroads as far as technology is concerned. Recently, PASCO showed its interest for high-end steel.
Right.
And Arsenal Mittal, who are the largest producer of steel, they are also keen to have some understanding. We have already signed MOU with them.
Right.
And if we go for that, then the high-end steel, which are automotive or defense equipment, and even some of the steel items which were used for launching of satellites, these are the areas where the steel demand is to increase, and that too for export.
Right. So this is where we will going to meet that demand and bridge that gap there.
Yeah. And others, domestically, we are, Mr. Suresh Prabhu can consume
Yeah. Which he actually said that he's working
about
in.
1 million steel. That is 10% of the
Yeah.
total production of our country.
Right.
So we are after him, so that when we talk of high-speed rails, it's India only where we are producing, and SAIL is one of the PSU. They are the front runners.
Right.
And also to see that in infrastructure, as far as Nitin Gadkari ji's ministry is concerned, we have given them this, that why don't you use steel bridges? And we have analyzed and give comparison that a steel bridge and a bridge which is of concrete, there is longevity is 3 times more than
the traditional ones.
yes.
Now, sir, there's only so much that a Steel Authority of India can do. There's also, when you look at the ecosystem, there's also a lot of private sector players as well. And sir, it has been traditionally been seen that R&D has not been a very strong point there. Your views on the same?
That is a fact, and I don't know we are in the habit of updating the technology. That is not the solution to, or this is not the replacement of R&D. Uh, some of the, known steel producer, they keep R&D as one of the very important component in the scheme of things. But when we ask them how much you have given out of your total budget, it may not be even 1% or maybe less than 1%. So now we are trying that the raw material which is used, especially the cooking coal,
Right.
we are to import about 80% of the cooking coal, which is a very important component for steel making, from Australia and other countries. And in our own country, some of the mining operations, which are basically for power coal, if this can be segregated, then at least 20 million tons of cooking coal we can take out from that. And that, by that way, we would be saving at least 30,000 crore,
Right.
which is being imported, 30,000 crore rupees, if this comes true. And for that, we have started, today I had a meeting on this issue, and there were a lot of encouragement from other private players also. So I think these are the areas where even I have gone to this extent that can there be any other replacement of cooking coal if we are to import the entire cooking coal?
Absolutely.
So there also some of the organization are taking it seriously, and other component which are to make us more competitive in the international market.
Absolutely.
We will have to be at least to see that some of the components which are totally imported, we have to replace them. And that is why I see that this should be, there should be R&D. R&D is not only to find out some raw material replacement.
Right.
Even the marketing in the present world,
Right.
that requires R&D.
Absolutely. Sir, now, sorry, I monopolized this conversation. I have Sumit, CEO Lok Sabha TV, for a question, I believe. Sumit, please ask a
Hello.
question.
Yeah. I just wanted to inquire about the POSCO steel. That was one of the major FDIs announced in last 10 years. What's the status? Is it going to happen?
You are talking of that Odisha thing.
Yes, yes, sir.
No, that is, I think that is now out of question. But POSCO, in other words, they have shown some interest. As far as alloyed steel is concerned, we are also in touch with POSCO for our Baranpur, Durgapur steel plant. They have the technology, and you may be knowing that R is the only concern which produce alloyed steel. So there they have the interest. Not even POSCO, the country as such, ambassador of that is the best steel making country. They have approached us and they want some kind of understanding, bilateral understanding, because there they don't have the iron ore, we have everything. So their technology and our raw material can go to a long way to produce good quality of steel. And POSCO is, of course, they are known for having the best of the technology.
Heard a lot about, sir, like ArcelorMittal and SAIL coming into a joint venture kind of thing for making auto grade steel, because we have not that kind of technology altogether. What kind of progress has been in that front altogether? When is the JV likely to be signed?
this year MOU was signed, and that JV negotiations are on, and I have asked both the SAIL and Arsenal Mittal that if you can clinch the issue by the end of December, it would be good. But still, there is a time. It can go up to May. May is the deadline for that, and there are some, differences about the pricing and all. But I think most of the things has been narrowed down to a great extent, and I'm hopeful if everything goes well, then we will have a joint venture which is to be signed, and I hope it may be within next 2-3 weeks.
So thanks a lot. Thanks for your time. Thanks for gracing us here with your presence. InfraCircle as a platform will deliver on all the promises that we have made, and we'll do it very objectively, the way the journalism needs to be practiced. Thanks for your time, sir.